Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Have you all seen the farmers' protests in the Netherlands? The Dutch farmers were laying manure on the highways, setting it on fire, causing kilometer-long traffic jams because the government has issued regulations about nitrogen emissions, which is cow farts, and forcing farmers to send cows to the slaughterhouse. Now, thousands of family farmers are facing bankruptcy, facing evictions from their land, all supposedly for combating climate change and, Green New Deal and all of this. Now, I just have to point out, I was accused of inciting terrorism in Egypt for advocating methods of protest that were less severe than what the farmers in the Netherlands are doing. Are any of them going to be accused of terrorism? I don't know. Remains to be seen. It could be. Clearly, this is not about combating climate change. It's not about saving the environment. It's about impoverishing families, impoverishing farmers, increasing food insecurity for the sake of big agribusiness, and consolidating, monopolizing control over food supplies. Social management, social control, suppression of the population, increasing desperation and vulnerability for normal, regular, average working people. And it's also clear evidence that the state, whatever state you're talking about, the state has been captured by the interests of big business, because this, officially, Netherlands is a democracy. The farmers have democratic mechanisms available to redress their grievances, but they understand that their grievances will not be addressed through democratic processes, and they have to take extreme and drastic measures of protest to make their voices heard. Now, that was even more the case in Egypt for the protests that I was advocating, because you were talking literally about a democracy that had been overthrown by the military, and I was advocating methods of protest that were similar to, but less than, what these farmers are doing. So by the example that was set with me, you have to understand also that that means that Muslims in Muslim countries will be even more repressed. You won't be allowed to do what Dutch farmers do. The iron fist of the state will fall upon you much more severely than it will fall upon Dutch farmers. But the same types of conditions and worse conditions are going to prevail in the Muslim world, particularly in the Middle East and North Africa, as a result of the Ukraine war and the sanctions against Russia, and shortages of food, which means the monopolization of control over the food supply, whereby multinational agribusinesses can decide where food goes and where it doesn't go. What food you're allowed to grow, what food you're allowed to have, what food you're allowed to import, and what food you must export. And our countries are going to be facing much more severe poverty and hunger imposition policies dictated by Western private sector interests. And this is only going to get worse unless our countries can decouple from Western hegemonic economic control. Jazakumullahu khairan wa assalamu alaikum.